You have probably heard these four words thrown around you like they mean the same thing: artificial intelligence, generative AI, deep learning, and machine learning. People use them interchangeably in job descriptions, news headlines, and even in the tutorials, but they usually don't mean the same thing. They are related, but they sit inside each other in a very specific way. And once you understand that, how they fit together, you will never be confused by them again in the future. Hello, dosto, welcome to Developer Forum. My name is Mankrai, and by the end of this video, you will have a simple mental picture that clicks all four of them in a single click. So let's quickly dive into our computer screen.
So right now we are onto our computer screen and we will gonna discuss now about AI versus machine learning versus deep learning versus generative AI. And having said, as we mentioned, these four words used like they mean the same thing. They are not usually the same thing. They are related but not the same. In fact, they sit inside one another in a very specific order, and you need to just get the order right and none of these words will confuse you again. So we'll just skip this slide because we already covered in the intro this part, and we will move on to the next slide. Here's the fastest way to understand all of this. Think of four circles, right? One inside the other, just like the Russian nesting dolls. The biggest circle is the artificial intelligence, which is the AI, and inside it sits a smaller circle, which is machine learning. Inside that, there's an even smaller circle, which is deep learning. Within that, there is an even much smaller circle, which is generative AI. And this is the thing which everyone's excited about right now. So the order from the biggest to smallest is AI, then machine learning, then deep learning, and then generative AI sitting inside the deep learning. This is the image which is our whole video. Basically, everything else we do now is just filling in what each circle actually means with examples you already know from your daily life. Keep that picture in your head from big to small and follow along. Let's start with the biggest circle, artificial intelligence. AI is the broad idea of getting a machine to do things that would normally need human intelligence, which we already discussed in the previous video. That's it. Making decisions, recognizing the things, solving problems, understanding the language. Any task where we would normally say a human had to think to do that. Now here's the part most people miss, right? AI does not automatically mean machine is learning. Some of the earliest AI didn't learn anything at all. It just followed the rules that a programmer wrote by hand. Think of a really old chess game, right? Someone sat down and wrote instructions like if the opponent moves here, respond there. No learning, no data, just a big set of handwritten rules. That's still AI. It's a machine doing something we would consider intelligent, but it's the old school, the rule-based kind of the AI. So remember, AI is the umbrella, it's the whole field. Under the umbrella, there are many approaches, and one of the most powerful approaches is the next circle, which is the machine learning. Now, machine learning is something where things get interesting, and it's the circle inside the AI. The core idea is a shift. Instead of a programmer writing every rule by hand, we let the machine figure out the rules by its own, right? By showing it a lot of examples, we feed it data and it learns from the pattern, so it figure out the rules on its own basically. Here's the everyday example: your email spam filter. Nobody sat down and wrote a rule for every possible spam email. That would be impossible, and spammers chain their tricks constantly. Instead, system was shown thousands of emails already labeled as spam or not spam, and it learned from the patterns that separate the two. Now, when a new email arrives, it applies what it learned. You see this everywhere. When Spotify suggests a song, when YouTube recommends your next video, when your banking app flags a strange transaction, that's machine learning, not a magic. It learned from the patterns in data instead of following rules someone typed out. So the difference to hold on to is classic AI follows a rules a human wrote. Machine learning discovers the rules itself from the data. That's why it is very much great for patterns which are too complex to code by hand. Now we go on one circle deeper, which is deep learning. Deep learning is a specific type of the machine learning. Basically, deep learning uses something called a neural network, a system which is loosely inspired by how the neurons in our brain connect. The word deep just means the network has many layers stacked on top of each other. More layers means it can learn more complicated patterns. So why we need it when we already have machine learning? Because some data is messy and complex, like images, sound, human language. Regular machine learning struggles with that kind of raw, unstructured data, and deep learning handles it very beautifully. For example, if you take the example of the audio processing, there could be noise in the background, which regular machine learning algorithms struggle to remove that noise or do the noise suppression, but deep learning will do it very beautifully. Think about the face unlock system of your phone. It's taking a messy, complicated image, different lighting, different angles. Maybe you have got glasses on today and still recognizing it's you, or a voice assistant understanding that what you said even with background noise, right? Or a self-driving car making sense of everything its camera sees. That's deep learning doing the heavy lifting basically. Quick summary of nesting so far. Deep learning is a kind of a machine learning, and machine learning is kind of a AI. Small circle inside a bigger circle, which is again inside a bigger one. Which brings us to the term you have probably heard the most lately, which is generative AI. Here's the key idea, and it's right there in the name. Generate. Everything we have talked about so far mostly recognizes or predicts the things. Is this spam or not? Is this your face or not? Generative AI does something different. It creates the new content that didn't existed even before, like new text, new images, new code, new audio, etc. And that's the generative part which it does. Chat GPT writing an email or explaining a concept, that's generating text. Image tool that create a picture from your description, generating images. Coding assistant that writes functions for you is generating a code. Now, where does it sit in our circles? Generative AI is built mostly on deep learning. Those same neural networks just trained to produce new things rather than only sort of predict them, right? So it lives mostly inside the deepest circle. The one thing that makes it stand out isn't where it sits, it's what it does. It creates basically. So if someone asks you the difference, deep learning recognizes and predicts, whereas generative AI basically built on the top of it and it creates. Now let me give you a simple set of questions you can ask about any AI tool to place it instantly. First question is it learning from the data at all or just following a rule which human wrote? If it's just following the rules, it's just a classical AI. Second question is, if it is learning from the data, is it working with simple structured data like numbers in a spreadsheet or a messy data like images, audios, or whatever you can say, right? Simple data, it's probably the regular machine learning. If it's a messy data, so it's probably the deep learning. And the third question is it creating something new, right? Like text, images, code, and if it is yes, that's the generative AI basically. So three questions: learning from data, messy data, or creating something new. That's all you need to place almost anything you came across. So let's bring it home. Four circles, biggest to smallest. AI is the whole field. Machines doing intelligent tasks. Machine learning is the AI that learns from the data instead of handwritten rules. Deep learning is machine learning that uses neural networks to handle messy, complex data. And generative AI, built on the deep learning, is the part that creates brand new content. Here's why it matters for you specifically as you start out in tech. You're going to see these words in job posts, in project descriptions, in interviews. Knowing exactly how they relate isn't just trivia, right? It tells you what a role actually involves and where you might want to focus your learning next, because many people confuse these four terms and they want to learn everything in a single go, which is kind of not possible. So that helps you distinguish your niche based on the job requirement, the project requirement, right, the interview requirement, and you can relate your skill set accordingly. So if this made the four terms finally click, that's exactly what I'm going for on this channel. Basically clear, calm explanations and no hype. Subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the AI playlist, because next we are going to dig one level deeper. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.
Thank you for watching this video, and in our next video I'm gonna discuss with you about LLMs. And if this video is genuinely helpful for you guys, so please subscribe my channel and please subscribe to Developer Forum so that it will give me a push to upload more powerful content in the future and more valuable content in the future for you guys.